Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. Listen up. WynnBET is now live in all these states, and the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas has finally landed in online sports betting and casino play. From boosted parlays to live in-game offs on every major sport, WynnBET gives you the tools to win. Sign up today for your risk-free $1,000 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning.
You're listening to Broncos for Breakfast with Nick Kendell and Scott Kennedy.
Oh, man. Well, good morning, everybody. Don't stay up late and watch your opponent that you're going to play the next week without checking to make sure you set an alarm. It's starting to get dark here, and the days are getting shorter. And the dog woke me up, and I'm like, it's a little bit bright out. Holy bleep! What time is it? So good to see everybody. The dog is actually joining me. He's on the ground here, chewing on something with his big old cone. So forgive me for being a little late, and it's good to see everybody. What are we talking about? What's going on?
I've been basically going through the chat a lot, honestly.
Okay.
Some of the when you start having keys, you're like, okay, I've got some keys to this thing. One of the big ones that I wanted to talk about was, I don't know how Las Vegas, I almost said Oakland, how Las Vegas won their first 3 games against some really good teams after watching them against the Bears. They were awful. I mean, they were awful against Chicago. And most importantly, they were awful in the trenches, which is, that's the scary part on that. And of the awfulness, the Knicks forgiveness fund. Thank you, Dave.
Man.
And of the awfulness, Alex Leatherwood was the most awful I think I've ever seen at this level of awful. He made Jalen Mayfield look like an all-pro.
Yeah.
He was so bad.
Yeah, Jalen Mayfield, he's getting kicked into guard, or he already was kicked into guard because he was so bad. And that offensive line that used to be the Raiders' strength is now one of the worst in the league so far this year. So it's pretty concerning to see what they're going to do with that this year. And I got to give credit. I think why did the Raiders win their first few games? 2 really good weapons that complement each other greatly. I mean, Darren Waller, there's probably Travis Kelce's the only guy who's better at the tight end position right now. Well, George Kittle too up there, but phenomenal player. And Henry Ruggs is starting to really show out as well. And also they have a good quarterback. And when you have a good quarterback, a franchise quarterback, you could literally win any game. Even if your offensive line isn't good enough, if your defense isn't good enough, you could win.
And you gotta keep an eye on Jacobs too. He's a good cutback runner, so you got to maintain discipline in your lanes. But Jacobs, you're not going to arm tackle him. So if you're not maintaining discipline and you flow and leave a gap, the guy that's being blocked isn't going to reach out an arm and bring him down. He's going to get his arm broken.
He's a bowling ball.
So he's good too, but it was tough to watch. I said this, and I was listening to the commentary because I couldn't quite remember when the news had broken about John Gruden and the apology. At that point, it was, he's come out and, maybe we can move past this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, this has happened because they were awful. I mean, they were awful.
Yeah.
Stupid penalties and bad in the trenches. That's not a good combination.
Listen up, Broncos country. TickPick should be your first choice to buy football tickets because they save fans money by never charging any service fees ever. TickPick is the exclusive ticketing partner for the Huddle Up podcast and the Blue Wire Network.
Denver Broncos football is finally back, and there's no need to exhaust yourself searching all over the internet to find Broncos tickets anymore because TickPick, that's TickPick, is the original no-fee ticket site and the only one you'll ever need as your go-to for all NFL tickets. TickPick got rid of all those awful service fees that the other ticket sites charge, which lets them guarantee the best prices on all of their NFL tickets. Don't believe it? If you can find better prices for the same seats on another ticket site, TickPick will give you 110% of the difference in the purchase price.
That's right, guys. When we were searching for tickets for the MHH meet and greet for Week 3 at home, Broncos versus Jets, TickPick had us locked down. So visit tickpick.com/huddle today and use the promo code HUDDLE to save $10 on your first order of Broncos tickets.
Yeah, and I don't know if you already covered this, but the player who is Gay, whose name is escaping me right now, former Penn State player, edge rusher, asked to take time off because of what's going
Carl
on.
Nassib.
Carl Nassib. Is it Nassib or Nassib?
I don't know.
Okay.
I read it as Nassib.
Okay.
I want to have one comment on this real quick.
Okay.
Just because, when the Michael Sam stuff was coming out, I'm like, we're never really going to have true equality in this world until people have the same reaction to this type of stuff that I do, which is, I don't care. Can you get after the quarterback? I don't care. So I was watching this Nassib, watching him, and I did a quick search. I'm like, how much has he been playing? And that's when I saw a headline on this that, he is the NFL's only openly, and I didn't know that. And I'm like, yes, okay, good. We are starting to slowly get to real equality where we don't make such a big deal out of all this stuff. It's fine. Do what you want. Can you get after the quarterback or not? That's all I care about.
Yep. But he's been solid this year. Length pass rusher, former Penn State Nittany Lion. And he's taken some time off recently because of everything that's going on. So, I mean, that's a distraction. I know Darren Waller also did not participate. Now, is it because of what's going on with Gruden or not? They did not say, but he did not participate also. So this is a team that's in disarray with everything going on. And if you heard me talk Tuesday morning or Tuesday night, this is a team that the Broncos better damn well beat. And we got Peter Middleton coming in saying coffee for Nick. Nick has not had his coffee yet. Nick would have loved his coffee. But
you know what wakes you up better than coffee? Panic wakes you up really well. I'm late.
Oh man, you should have seen me hop out of that bed. I had an alarm set for like, 5:50, typically what I do. And I think I just okay, I can just lay here for 5 minutes. Gone. So I'm good to keep going for a little bit. I'm feeling alive. I'm glad to join you guys. And I'm really sorry to everybody. But here we are. I'm like, man, at some point I'm really afraid I'm going to sleep through. I was just thinking this yesterday. Here we are. Shouldn't have thought it. But thank you very much for the stars there, Peter. It's great to see. And Chris Hernandez coming in. Nick made it. Blah blah blah. Yeah, we're here. But I can also say I finally pulled a Chad / Zach.
Just plan it. I didn't oversleep. I'll start when I'm good and ready.
Oh man, I'm typically so.
That's not how Nick and I operate. That's for sure.
No, not at all. Nick made it, but we're here.
And it hits 9:31 on my clock. I'm like, I start to shake. People are waiting. I don't like people waiting. I know.
But hopefully the Raiders seem like they slept in too. This upcoming Sunday. This is the last time you and I are gonna get a chance to talk before the game. And obviously we can go a little bit longer if you're feeling up to it.
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I'm just finishing my coffee now, so I'm good. Now I don't have to talk the entire time. If
I've
it's
done that
okay with the chat, we can go a little longer. I said I got a spoiler alert. I will be taking Chad's place on Mile High Huddle tonight.
Nice.
So that should be interesting because Zach and I haven't ever exchanged ideas, and we see eye to eye on several things, but we're really opposite on some others. So that could be a fun show.
Must see TV. All right. Well, I'm tuning in. That'll be fun. So Raiders game. Obviously, this is a huge one. Broncos. Would you say this is a must-win for this team this year for Vic Fangio for everything? Because
it's getting close. It's getting close.
Falling.
You start 3-0 and finish 0-3 against the better competition, and all of a sudden you're going to lose belief from your players, and they'll go like this. I know which way the wind's blowing, and they stop playing for the guy. You can struggle and still have belief, and just like, listen, we're a couple years away. We don't have the right guys. But when you look around the locker room and you say, we got the guys here. Where we don't have it is up there, upstairs in the booth or on the sidelines, and those guys will know. I just have to bide my time. I've got a contract. I just have to buy my time, and I will be here next year. He won't.
Yep. And
they check out. And I think it is definitely a concern that you go 3-3 here, that it could go the wrong direction. The big positive is you should start getting some of your players back. Yeah. And that will inject a boost of energy into the team that you're not going to get from necessarily the coaching staff, no matter what. So those guys coming back, and they're excited to play, and they're excited to get back out there. That stuff can be infectious too.
Yeah, I would say this is a must win. I don't know how much I'm allowed to divulge, but it does sound like while Shermer might not be fired from this game, just from talking with people that more connected than I don't think Shermer will be fired if the Broncos come out flat. It does sound like he will lose play calling duties or responsibilities, and that'll fall on Mike Shula, was the offensive coordinator for Shermer with the Giants. So at least it's somebody who's done it before. But Shermer would probably still be kept around for game planning, scheming, etc. But he would just simply lose play calling responsibilities. So, and that, I mean, when you start to have that happening, it does seem like the writing's on the wall, right? Like guys are starting to lose their jobs, essentially, not their job, but like what they're doing. They're shifting to power dynamics, and you're reeling, and definitely right. Players can tell which way the wind is blowing.
Yep.
That's concerning. Then you go to the Browns on a short week, who is probably definitely a top 4 team in the AFC, the best pass rush in the NFL so far this year, the highest pass rush win rate. I mean, Myles Garrett's playing at a defensive player of the year level. Jadeveon Clowney's been great for them. Malik McDowell, who was a phenomenal player at Michigan State, total idiot. I'll just say that, he's had multiple things off the field, but really talented. And they're getting after it. So, man, you could be looking down the barrel of a 4-game losing game streak like that. So, I really do think this is a must win. You better get it. And if they lose this game, it would suck. But nothing would be worse than coming out as flat, low energy as we've seen the first 2 halves last time. Like, you're fighting for your life right now. Go out there and like show it. I don't know. I'm so upset about the energy in that Steelers game.
And yeah, and what do we say? It's okay to lose. After getting whipped by the Ravens, what do you need? You need to see a response.
Yep.
If you go to Pittsburgh and lose, okay, but you've got to see a response. And I don't feel like we saw it. I don't feel like we saw one at all. Now,
Nope.
Were there any lingering issues with Teddy Bridgewater and the concussion, those type of things? And as I've said multiple times, I feel like the injuries finally showed up in this game, where on a talented team, it's not always going to be the same players that are the players of the game that are going to be the ones that elevate your level. And maybe it's not Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton. Maybe it's KJ Hamler, or it's Jerry Jeudy who has the matchup this year. And those guys are gone. Now,
Yeah.
I touched on this earlier, and I want you to hit on this because you'll know a hell of a lot better than me.
Okay.
I feel like internally in our own little bubble here that sometimes you can overrate your own players.
Oh, easily.
And it's easy to throw all this on the coaches. Well, the coordinator's not getting the best out of this guy. The coordinator's not getting the best out of that guy. Is it possible that Noah Fant just isn't as good as we think he should be for a first-round pick?
Totally. Yeah, easily. He's obviously a first-round player, but and he was really featured at Iowa, but that was, the Big Ten. Not many teams can guard 2 first-round tight ends. He's also the second tight end drafted from his team. And at Iowa, there were some issues with being dialed in and whatnot. Like he didn't always have eye to eye with the coaching staff there. So I think he's a good player, and he's well spoken, and he's intelligent, but maybe he is slightly overrated. I mean, he does have some issues. He wasn't always the best route runner at Iowa, getting separation. He didn't always track the football the best. That was an issue with him, and he just kind of played a little linearly. So that was something that, sorry, got Conehead behind me here. That's what happens when you have to panic and run up here. There is definitely a chance that Noah Fant is not as good as we built him up to be in our heads. And that's true for, maybe it's true for Bradley Chubb as well. Maybe that's true for Drew Lock or Garrett Bowles, what we saw last year.
Some of the rhetoric that we hear across the channels is, Shermer's ruining this guy. He's still to develop with that guy. It's like, maybe, and I'm certainly not a Shermer apologist. I'll get all over the fact that you got Javonte Williams making highlight runs every week. This is what we're all about at Broncos for Breakfast. We are all about family. I'll talk about schemes and everything, but as far as ruining guys, maybe they weren't that great to begin with. Me, I throw so much at the evaluation department and the evaluation and scouting and that, because that's my background. That it's like, well, maybe some of these guys were just misses and they're not living up to their billing, and it's not all on this guy or that guy, because it's so much easier as fans to think, man, if I just change this one thing, everything's going to be great. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's more problems than we think.
No, absolutely. And, if you always think like all these things are going to work out perfectly, right? You took the first round tight end, he's going to develop, et cetera, et cetera. Did Bradley Chubb, going to be a great player, and he's been good, but it just does not always work out according to plan. I would say there are teams that struggle more so than the Broncos in that regard as well, but that's fandom. I mean, it's something that if you were on the show Tuesday night, but Carl and I always, people like rag. It's people too close to the situation, right? And like it's like either they're way too good, they think they're way too good, or they're way too bad. Like the Broncos offensive line, the worst offensive line ever. Why don't they ever invest in the offensive line? Well, they have, and they're not the worst offensive line ever. You're just not seeing the quality of the offensive line across the NFL right now because it's bad. The same goes for like tight end. Noah Fant, best tight end in the AFC West. Like, well, or one of the best in the AFC coming into the season. Like, well, look at Darren Waller. Look at Mark Andrews, what he's been doing. I mean, it's just, not the case. So we got Lawrence Rivera coming in here saying, I think Noah is a star, just used wrong. And that's the thing too. Like Noah Fant, he's maybe not playing as well right now. He needs to get more involved, but you don't quit on talent. And he's still really young.
And I don't, again, going back to Lawrence's point, I don't want him single up blocking on TJ Watt.
No,
I want him in cover. I want Watt worried about Fant, not vice versa. I gotta get him some help if we're gonna make a running play against a former MVP type. That's just poor. But on Tuesday when we did Broncos for Breakfast, I highlighted just how badly the scheme against Watt was. Like they didn't put a hat on him the first 4 running plays, not a one, or at least not anybody above 250 pounds. The first one was they tried to run away from him and didn't block him.
Yep.
You just flat out didn't block him. Think he can go backside and pursuit and make a play? Yeah, he can. The next one was a fullback, and the next one was Noah Fant. I'm like, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. So I want Fant to worry about. I want Watt to worry about what my weapons are doing. How are you going to do your job? And if you're just going to pin your ears back and go, I'll dump a screen over your head to one of these guys.
Yeah, and it's the thing about Shermer, and not to make it too Falcon-centric here, but like you heard me talking yesterday morning, how impressed and just what everything's doing, Arthur Smith and that offensive game planning staff is doing with not only Kyle Pitts, who's playing big slot and being moved around a lot, but Cordell Patterson as well. And they're maximizing what those guys do best and building the scheme around them. Big complaint about Shermer is that he has his scheme, and then whatever players he has, he's going to plug them into those roles, no matter what. Very much my scheme is more important than what my players do best. So it's been an issue.
And I don't ever believe in that. That's an arrogant. I mean, all coaches are arrogant, of course. That's how they get there. But that's an arrogance that is detrimental to the welfare of the team.
Yep. Where,
the best coaches, it's a cliche for a reason. They're going to adjust their scheme to the talent that they have available to them. Yep. Without a doubt. And, Moron here makes a really good point. It's hard to tell what the talent is with all of the problems.
Yep.
So, my question just as a devil's advocate here is, do some of these problems stem from the fact that they're not as good as we think they are? But I agree with Mo here on this, that I've seen some scheming things that are just head scratching, and everybody's seen the injuries. We certainly know that. So I agree with you on here. So my question on that was a little bit just trying to spark the conversation a little bit and play a little devil's advocate. Because I think this offense is there's no probably. This offense is underperforming based on the talent available to them.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I don't know if the quarterback is playing that poorly. I mean, he's playing about as much as anybody, at least I should have expected, and maybe people got a little over their skis with the first 3 games, but he's still like top 3 in the NFL in completion percentage over expected, EPA per play. The area where his stats really fall short is third down, which the Broncos are averaging 3rd and 8. So that's, you're losing on 1st and 2nd down to get to that. And then the red zone, but in the red zone, the Broncos have been running the football in. So their red zone rate hasn't been good, and the play calling has not been great either. And he's got to be better there too, but I don't think it's a problem I'm screaming about yet at the TV. So that's got to be better. And I do want to ask you, how much of this, what you've seen, how much of the Broncos struggles on offense besides bad play calling, blah, blah, blah. They just don't have any quick hitters right now on the offense. Every single one of their weapons is this slow developing guy. I mean, Cortland Sutton, his ankles issues, and he's coming off the knee injury too. He's not doing much in the short game right now. Tim Patrick, he's good, but go ahead.
I think that's definitely part of it. Again, you miss Jerry Jeudy a lot. He should be your number one receiver right now. Sutton could be that guy, but he's not quite there right now. I mean, right now, if I'm watching this for the first time, I'd say, who's the Denver Broncos number one receiver? I go, well, Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick's the number one guy. And coming into the season, he's at best your 3 is what you're normally thinking. So when your 3 becomes a 1, you're going to be a little bit more limited. And as far as the slow developing stuff, it doesn't help when your interior line isn't playing that well. Because if I can be Garrett Bowles or Bobby Massey and just extend an arm and just push a guy around, that buys enough time for my quarterback to step up and make a play. When they're collapsing the middle of your offensive line, all of a sudden your passing lanes are blocked, your vision is blocked, and now I don't have anywhere to go. So how is anything supposed to develop if my interior offensive line is getting pushed back? So that's where there's been as much of a problem for me. So it is the injuries. And then we need to see better play across the board on the interior line where we've played 5 guys through 5 games. You got your center, and then you played 4 different guards because of injuries and whatnot. So, and some of that will get better. I truly believe some of that will get better through development of someone like Miners, of Glasgow coming in and out and getting healthier, Muti developing. He's not quite there yet. And then Reisner being put in a place where he's going to be playing to his strengths, which might be a little bit opposite of someone like Miners. So a lot of factors in there. But right now, for me, the 2 biggest factors for the offensive struggles right now are injuries and interior line play.
Yep. Injuries and interior line play. I mean, maybe some play calling as well, right up there. But Peter makes a good point also. Said this earlier, but Fant is playing injured. Fant is playing injured. That's something we want to talk about too. Talk about Fant. Is he living up to expectations, or is he as good as we think? Fant has been playing injured almost every single year. Now, I know it's the NFL and you got to, injuries are going to happen, but also there are injuries he's playing through. And to what extent, I commend him for that, but also the fact that he's been injured every year and maybe that's impacting his play is a factor you have to consider with not only, what his return on investment has been, but if they are going to pay him to retain him. Right. So just something to keep in mind. And, it's a really, from where I'm sitting, gosh, I hate, I don't like saying like, oh, maybe it's, he's too injury prone, because I'm sitting here, eating potato chips and, drinking a beer. Like, God bless him for going out there and being injured and playing and doing his job. But
there's
something
the phrase the way you start talking about that is I can't justify another contract for him because I can't trust him to be on the field when I need him.
Yeah. Well, he's playing through it, but it's like, how much is it? Are we getting like 70% of no?
Yeah, he's not justifying he wouldn't justify again, you said it, the ROI. If you're going to pay him like a top 5 tight end, I need production like a top 5 tight end. And you're not getting it right now for one reason or another. It might not be his fault at all. And he should be commended for playing through pain and getting out there when he can. But that's not how this league works. You don't get rewarded for that for your next contract. Thanks for being tough and sticking it out, but we already paid you. We're not paying you again.
Yeah. But I mean, the Broncos still have 2.5 years of control on him. So there's still plenty of hope. Shermer, until the last 2 games, had been using 2 tight ends more. Now, Teddy Bridgewater hasn't been going to them as much as you'd hope. Now, is that the scheme? Is that the quarterback making the decision? Something we can't answer from where we sit unless we, sit down.
I don't have any doubt that Teddy and his skill set would like to use the tight end. It's short passes, to the hash marks. Yeah. That's right in his wheelhouse. So I don't necessarily put that one on. Teddy wants to go somewhere else. No, I think Teddy would love to hit the tight ends. Yeah.
He needs to be more involved. They need to get Saubert more involved while Alberto Cuevanam's injured, play more 12 personnel, maybe even get Andrew Beck more involved. This is a team that, right now they're they're soft. I guess that's the way to put it. It really sucks. But this is a team that's been mostly soft, other than some players who are not soft, like Javonte Williams not playing soft. Kareem Jackson definitely not soft. Alexander Johnson not soft. But they're just kind of a finesse team. And are you going to out finesse the Chargers right now? Are you going to out finesse the Chiefs right now?
And what happens when the AFC North comes in, who are brawlers?
Yeah, exactly. It's everybody get your coffee ready, get a drink. But like it's like if the Iowa Hawkeyes like, you know what, we're gonna play air raid and put 5 wide receivers on the field.
We can do the same thing when I say Falcons too. It's
Yeah,
just
there
you make comparisons to things you know the best.
Yes, exactly. But right now they're just this is the team that was supposed to zig when other ones zag. And right now they're playing finesse. So Tim, I gotta be honest with you here. I thought I was too late to catch you guys. I thought I was too late to join. Nick woke up and his phone said it was 7:15, and he full on heart attack panic and is like, first woke up, saw, oh my gosh, it's a little light out. Oh my gosh, it's a little light out. Called Scott. And he said, are you okay? I'm okay. I'm just slept through. I honest to God was up late watching the Raiders Bears, and that put me to sleep. And slept through that first alarm or hit snooze, and that was it. But we got Brent coming in, $3 over on YouTube with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Brent. I'm glad you could join us this morning. Glad everybody could join us. Glad I could join us. And shout out to Scott for giving us holding down the fort for a little bit. God, I'm embarrassed, but I'm glad I could make it a little bit at all. So thank you guys.
So I was actually, while you're doing that, I was going to look up Cleeks. He says Pitts is starting to heat up, but not like Burrow and Chase. I'm like, what has Jamar Chase been doing?
Oh my gosh, he's been amazing so far. Down the field, vertically. Now there's been some plays where it's been, close to a bad decision by Burrow or whatever. But like Chase, as an average depth of target and like just as a wide receiver, he looks like one of the best in the game immediately. He's been incredible. He really has been incredible.
I think the Miami Dolphins really, I still think they came out ahead, but they screwed up. They screwed up. They got the player that they really wanted was Jamar Chase.
Yep.
That was the guy that they wanted. Well, then they get 3 first-round draft picks, and they overpaid to move back up and still didn't get Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
So who'd they get? They took Jalen Waddle, right?
Yeah.
And then good, should be a good player. He's a little light in the seat, where Jamar Chase was a grown man. This was such a good draft that he didn't get the type of plaudits that he should. He's a top 2 or 3 pick in most drafts instead of falling down. So this draft was so much fun. We'll look back and that's how it felt while we were covering it. Now we'll let hindsight prove, but the skill guys that have gone in the top 10, I think, have certainly lived up to it. And as far as the quarterbacks go and the hype that surrounds them, let me put this phrase and just burn it in your mind. The NFL is hard. The NFL is hard, and those guys are going to bad teams. So am I surprised that they're struggling? No. We said all along, if you thought this was a playoff team, you don't go with a quarterback with a top 10 pick. Yep. If you go, it's a rebuild. The 49ers did it, but they traded up into it, and they felt they already had the pieces to do it. But if this was a quarterback of the future is not now. Future is still moving. Now just don't get these guys killed. That's the scary thing, is when you go to a bad team like that, is that you're going to get them killed.
And compoundingly bad. Obviously, the Dolphins traded up. They traded back from 3 to 12, but then they traded up from 12 to 6, giving up their first round pick. I think right now their first round pick is number 3 overall, if the draft was today, which is not good. Leave me alone. And then the Tua's not playing great, and they took Jalen Waddle instead of a offensive lineman, and Tua's been playing dinged up because their right tackle is bad and their offensive line is bad, worse than the Broncos guys, believe it or not. I know, crazy for some of you, but they it's been an issue, and now they have those picks. They used it on a speed wide receiver. Tua doesn't look like he might actually be an answer. I mean, he's fine, but is he a franchise quarterback? I don't know.
We'll give him a chance. I mean, he broke his ribs in week 2.
Yeah.
So
yes, exactly.
Nick fell back asleep again. Oh, froze up with your eyes closed. It was kind of funny.
Man.
Brent Ayers, for your fantasy football folks, is Kyle Pitts the real deal? Yes, he is. He's going to be a Calvin Johnson-esque type of weapon for the next 10 years. He's the real deal. Flat out. I mean, Calvin Ridley could end up walking in a year or two, and he was a double holdback coming out of high school. So even when he plays the first year of his second contract, I think he turns 29 that year. So he entered the league at 20. He was 24 his rookie season. So how much are you going to give him? And he hasn't stepped up to be a number one type this year. The production was there last year. So talking fantasy right now, Calvin Ridley could be available next year. And Kyle Pitts, if you're in a keeper league, get him and keep him.
The real question is Matt Ryan going to be available next year?
In what way? Is he going to be with the Falcons?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, he'll play next year. Nothing happens with Matt Ryan until June of 2022. So he's there at least a year and a half, based on unless he would avoid his contract or something, which guys don't do. No. It's too cost prohibitive. It ended up being like a quarter of the salary cap in dead money if he left.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the dog it's not that he wants to go outside or anything. He just is a classic golden retriever. Summit.
Pay attention to me.
Yeah, come here. Come. Yeah, he's a single dog household, right? So he's just always wants the attention. But yeah, no, that's too bad about Matt Ryan, because he's one that obviously Aaron Rodgers is the dream, but if Matt Ryan was available, I would be interested. I think he's still a very competent quarterback. Now, has he lost a little bit of mustard on that arm? Yeah, he has. But Khalil coming in saying, no, we don't want Matt Ryan. I mean, I want competent quarterback play. And Matt Ryan is a beyond competent quarterback.
Matt Ryan is Peyton Manning light. They're very, very similar. He's not Peyton Manning, but he's Peyton Manning light. And you could win a lot of games with him. I just looked up in his last 3 games, he didn't have his 2 top receivers in Russell Gage and Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
Ridley hadn't played at all. And you guys were like, who? Exactly. Those are the weapons that he's got on offense for the receivers right now. His rating for the last 3 games would put him 5th in the NFL, playing for that offensive line in the Atlanta Falcons. He's a good quarterback. I think he's underappreciated in Atlanta because he's been there so long, and they've had their ups and downs.
Yeah, I mean, you start looking around the league, like who else would even be an option? If it's not Aaron Rodgers, maybe Russell Wilson, but he doesn't sound like he wants to go to Denver. Probably not Deshaun Watson. Probably just put that one. Talk about putting Matt on ice. So let's put Deshaun Watson on ice. Kirk Cousins? No, thank you. Pass. Jimmy Garoppolo? Hell no. Andy Dalton, another retread? No, thank you. I mean, at that point, I'd rather just play frickin' Drew Lock again or Teddy Bridgewater. So we'll see. But I think Matt Ryan is probably the second best quarterback or third best, not including Russell Wilson, that might be available. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Gary, what we've said in the past when we were going through all the Aaron Rodgers talk is if you don't get a guy like that somehow, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, forget the off-field stuff. I'm just talking, availability and talent. And who was the third one that you mentioned that might be available? Not Russell Wilson. That seems like a little bit of a reach. Then I have thought since before I saw a snap this season that Teddy Bridgewater ends up being your quarterback next year while the guy you draft to replace him sits behind him.
Man, I'm all the way out right now on the 2022 quarterback class. It just does not. I think Matt Corral is fun, but he's a pure RPO quarterback. I don't know how he can operate a drop back at all. You think Zach Wilson is struggling in structure right now? Corral's going to struggle even more because he doesn't have the ability to extend plays that the natural ability to extend plays that Wilson has. And I like, name escaping me right now. Liberty quarterback Malik Willis. He's a fun player, but he's a little bit erratic with his decision making. He's throwing to pretty much wide open guys, and he's going to need a year to do it. Now, maybe that's the guy to do it, but he might be the best.
Yeah, you go 500, he might be available at 15, 16. Yeah. And then you take that guy and sit him for a year. But we said all along, if Teddy Bridgewater wins this job, then you have a new quarterback in 2023. So
I agree with you there. And also, this might be not revolutionary, but the quarterback is so important, and maybe it's not the best use of resources, but until you get the quarterback right, it's in today's league, good freaking luck. why not just draft one every freaking year, like in the first round? I don't like. Why has nobody done that? It's that important of a position.
Wouldn't be that much different than trading 3 first rounders for one, right?
Yeah, I'd rather take one every single year than trade 3 first rounders for one because I'm really increasing my odds. And guess what? We saw Josh Rosen have as bad of a season as any quarterback ever in the last 5 years, right? For a full season, and they got an early second round pick for trading him back. So I don't know, man. I know the teams don't do that, and there's something to be said about like locker room dynamics, but like you can't be afraid of having the guy
rookie deals that you couldn't do that. It used to be so stupid where the highest guy in the draft was the highest paid guy in the league was the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft. That was insane. I'm glad they
Sam Bradford.
I'm glad they figured that out, and it's like let's cap the rookie contracts so we can pay our veterans and people that have actually played a game, because otherwise it was so risky to take a quarterback. You'd cripple your franchise for 4 years if you missed on a guy in the top 5.
Yep. Not the case anymore. You do have to play a little bit of dead cap games if that happens. Like you're going to eat a good amount of dead cap with especially a top 10 first round pick if you're trading them. But it's just that important position, and I think the Cardinals should be a lesson. And what's going on with Miami right now should be a lesson. Maybe they should have taken a quarterback at 3. Maybe they should have taken Trey Lance.
I said that, and then I'm willing to walk back on that one until we see Tua, because he's 1-0 as a starter this year. Yeah. He went out early against the Bills, and they've been giving up a ton of points. He should be back this week. Tua should be back this week against the Jags. And if you're ever going to get healthy, pun intended, play on words intended, if you're ever going to get healthy, the Jags are probably the team to do it. So let's see how he goes.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you feel better about hitting your franchise quarterback if you have Tua or Tua plus Lance? It's like that kind of thing. And it's that important where I know there'll be backlash and whatnot, but I mean, you've got to start to consider
I wasn't sold on Lance.
No.
That level, going back to the Malik Willis thing. And again, I like Justin Fields a lot. Again, he's one of any of the rookie quarterbacks. None of them are, I think the 4 rookie quarterbacks are 5. 29, 30, 31, and 32 in the ratings right now. And I think you go one more up, I think it's Sam Darnold for the Carolina Panthers. So I wouldn't have felt great about Lance, depending on if they could have gotten him, stayed at 3 and taken him. Okay, maybe, but it's just a probability thing. I don't see that as being a huge upgrade on paper over what you had in Tua.
Yeah, for me, it's just more of the probability and how important it is in hitting that guy. And also quarterbacks retain their value more. Like right now, if there was an open market trade, even though he's played as bad as anybody, Sam Darnold, right? What he got 2 second round picks back for Sam Darnold.
They got one. Wasn't it one?
Okay, he got 1 second. And there was something else too.
I don't know. I think it was 1, and then they picked up his option right away. So they're in for another, $17 million for him next year. They're paying $40 million to have the 25th or 26th best quarterback in the league right now. So
yeah, but they traded him, and that's good. They got value for him. The Jets did. Maybe Zach Wilson is a different version of Darnold. I don't know. Maybe the Jets are just cursed. Who knows? But then like you have, let's say Saquon Barkley was available. You're not going to get a second for Saquon right now with his injuries and the position he plays. So it's just even if you take the wrong quarterback early, a lot of times you can still flip that guy for value if he doesn't work out. So I don't know. I know that it's like, you can't be afraid. Like if you're afraid that you're going to upset your potential young quarterback before drafting another guy, guess what? He's probably not the guy, because he's going to have to fight for your whole life.
You can tell that you've been here, Nick. Our numbers are up significantly. I made the joke earlier. I'm like, you can tell Nick's a popular one in this podcast, because when I was watching, it'd go up, and then it'd be like, oh, it's that guy. And I'd watch the numbers go back down. So
no, not true. That's for sure. Now, yeah, guys, I'm sorry that I slept in a little bit. I'm glad we could still get in some quality time. Been here for 40 minutes now, 45 minutes talking some ball. It's been great. Is there anything else you want to touch on, Scott, before we get on out of here? I know this is our last chance together before the Raiders game, but I know that you're going to get a chance to talk.
Let's hit a prediction.
Okay.
What do you think? I got let me look it up. It's Raiders at Broncos, Denver by 3.5, over under of 44.
I'm going to go over. I think this is a game that Derek Carr the Broncos play soft zones, and they don't get much, send much blitzes. So what does that mean? There's spots available underneath. And if you're a patient quarterback, accurate underneath, you can move the ball down, matriculate the ball down the field for you Hank Stram fans out there at home. Boo the Chiefs, though. But I think that they'll put up some points, but I think the Broncos are going to put up some points too. This is a game where the Raiders so far this season have not really blitzed also. They prefer to get pressure at the front four, and that's kind of fallen off pretty recently. It was doing very well early, but then, Yannick Ngakoue, Max Crosby, their other guys have not been as good the last 2 weeks. So I think this is going to be a game that's going to hit the over, and I think the Broncos are going to win this one 31-20. I think they'll cover. I think the Raiders are. Maybe I'm trying to manifest it too, because if the Broncos lose this is going to be really bad. I mean, the place is going to just fall apart. The fan base is just going to fall apart because you cannot lose to the Raiders with what's going on with them right now. So I'm going to go 31-20 just because any other reality is unacceptable.
At 44, I do like the under.
Okay, you think a low-scoring game?
I do like the under. The Broncos offense hasn't been playing very well, even against a really, they haven't been playing very well. And even against a team that is giving up some points and doesn't look that great right now in the Raiders, the way they played, I don't expect them to go out and throw up 30 points. So even if they're 24 and they hold them to 14, you're looking at 38 and you're still on the under. So even 24-17, 21-17 in that neighborhood, you're still under. So I like the under in this one. I feel better about the under than I do about a pick in this one. However, I would go Denver Broncos 24-17. I think they're the better team. And as long as the rallying cry for the Raiders of we're embarrassed and we're going to go out there and be pissed off doesn't take over, and it shouldn't. Being home makes a difference for this one. Being in Denver with 70,000 screaming people up in the altitude at Mile High, that I think Denver comes out and they're up 4-2, and people will complain that they didn't score more points.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Key to the game, Broncos starting fast. That's one that really upsets me. Last we had the Ravens game, the Steelers game. They started off slow, but now you have the home fans in front of you. Give them a reason to cheer. Give them a reason to support you, because this fan base, everybody can say what they want about Avs. Avs started again. Yay, go Avs. Rockies, Nuggets are great right now. Denver's a Broncos town. This team the fan base wants to support you, but if you come out and play bad, boring football to start against the Raiders in a do or die week, this fan base is going to turn on you, and rightfully so. So, go ahead, Scott. Let's get this one.
Let's hit this one, Dave. On Tua, Mac, or Geno, I would never start Geno Smith. So it comes down to Mac or Tua. Tua's coming off broken ribs going against Jacksonville. Jacksonville has the 8th worst passing defense. However, despite their 4-1 start, the Dallas Cowboys have the 2nd worst passing defense. They've given up 10 passing touchdowns and almost 1,600 yards in 5 games. So I think Mac Jones might be the way to go on this one. I would be looking in the waiver wire for a different quarterback though, Dave. But I'd probably go Mac Jones on this one out of those 3.
I agree with you there. Dallas, Trevon Diggs is having a great year with the interceptions, but he's given up a lot of yards and receptions too. So boomer bust, very much so. We got Khalil Herr coming in here saying, I'm flying to Denver for this game. Go Broncos. Well, enjoy yourself, have fun, and hopefully it's a win for you. And hopefully those Raider fans aren't too nasty. So they have a reputation.
Now,
rightfully so.
She has told us this once before, but is it Kayla or Kyla? Isn't that what it was? If you do that for one more time, we won't have to ask again. So I would say Kyla, but I'm not sure on that one. So we'll have a good time. Kyla. Have a good time at the game. Hopefully it is a beautiful game. Make lots of noise and make our predictions come true, because I like being right. That's what makes me happy. I like being right. Then JC says I'm late. You know what? So are we. So we went extra. We went extra chest for you. Nick looks frozen again. You can go ahead and take a nap. Kyla. Okay, good. And Nick was frozen again. Go ahead and take a nap, and we'll let you get going. I know you are. You've got stuff to do, and you got a little bit of a late start to your day.
Well, I appreciate Scott for holding down the fort and you guys for joining us today. We really do appreciate you. This is obviously the Broncos for Breakfast, part of the Huddle Up Podcast Network. You can find Scott and myself on Twitter, myself at Nick Kendell MHH and Scott at Scout Kennedy. Follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. And join us on YouTube by subscribing, liking, and sharing. Thank you, everybody, for being patient. Joining us today. Special shout out to Scott for holding it down. And I'm okay. We're going to see. Yep, we got Kyla manifesting here, which is phenomenal. And also manifesting Broncos 16 and Broncos 15-2. Got to update that name there. But $20 coming in.
The closer coming in. The closer coming in to send us out.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much, Broncos 15-2. And thank you guys so much. And we will see you soon next Tuesday. And Scott will see you tonight with Zach. So must-see TV. That'll be great. Hopefully everybody has a good one. Make sure you're getting your sleep. And I'm going to go make myself some coffee. All right. Peace, guys. Love y'all. Go Broncos.
Head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all things Broncos.